Where do we start with what's going wrong with QPR? We need Clarke-Salter back, that's for sure. Fox's errors, recruitment, the manager now blaming fans. We're going to get all into it on another depressing episode of Where Rangers Walk. Thank you so much for watching. Welcome back, Jawad, and welcome back, Michael, and thank you very much for coming back. This is going to be an interesting one. Every week we say what's going on with QPR. Let's narrow it down, shall we? A home defeat is never good, but it's been a home defeat against one of your relegation rivals, and they haven't won a game all season. It only puts that knife deeper in, doesn't it? Jawad, could you believe what you were watching at times?
No, and again they scored first, so you think okay, let's go on now and do something. We scored first against Plymouth, um, and you kind of thought, right, this could be the start of something, and then just yeah, nothing happened. We didn't really create much. I think Chair missed that great chance, but there was just a sinking inevitability after Portsmouth equalised that we were going to lose it. Uh, yeah, there's so much wrong. It really is hard to know where to start.
Right, let's start with the defence then, shall we? Fox was getting obviously lots of the blame, Michael, online. It's not hard to see why in a game like that, is it? No qualms with the penalty, I presume, from you.
No, it was a penalty, no doubt about it. It was probably one of the worst individual performances I've seen from any QPR player for the last 10 years. It was poor, and a lot of us thought we missed him as well. But yeah, just didn't look up to it.
When is Clarke-Salter likely to be back? Do we know?
Not too sure, to be fair.
He said on Friday that he was back training full time with the squad and everything, and then he said after the game yesterday that they have to take precautions because it's a calf injury, and last season he had a calf injury the year before, I think, and they forced him back too soon. I think he was never going to play 3 games in a week. Let's be honest, and they probably thought the weaker side that we're playing against Portsmouth might be enough. So I would have thought he'll be fit on Tuesday. But it's not just defensively that we miss him. He's so good on the ball compared to the other centre backs, and so much of our attacks start with him. And the difference in quality between him and Fox is unbelievably big.
It was only sort of 3 games ago where you were, unbeaten in 5, and okay, there were lots of draws in that game, but this wasn't a bad season, and people were claiming that the chairman had done some good business, but that has turned around pretty quickly, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's the Jekyll and Hyde of QPR fans. It was exciting. I feel like it was something we hadn't done in a while. Getting loads of foreign recruitment, looking at stats and basing it all on that. But I feel like we've totally missed the mark with some of these signings. Experience is key in Championship football. You look at teams like Oxford, you have signed players, experienced players in the Championship, and sometimes that is what you need. So maybe they're still settling in, but at the moment, it just looks like it's going to keep on getting worse, to be honest.
Okay.
I think there must be some tension between the board and Marty, because I'm sure that if Marty had his way, he would have signed Isaac Hayden in the summer after seeing how important he was. But I'm sure they've looked at the profile that Hayden's got and gone and got someone like Madsen who they think maybe can do a similar job, and or Varane is probably the one that they liken to Hayden, and it's just not worked. And like a couple of them look so out of their depth. Madsen yesterday gave one of the most passive performances I've ever seen. He didn't do anything wrong, but it's because he didn't do anything. He didn't want to get on the ball. He didn't tackle. He didn't win his duels. There was absolutely nothing from him. And he played the 90 minutes, which is the worrying thing.
Yeah, and it's those decisions, isn't it? Those substitutions that fans are now starting to turn on Marty. I think they've still got a lot there, isn't it? But are some of his decisions in team selection and substitutions becoming questionable for you, Michael?
Well, before yesterday's game, I would have said yes. but I feel like he did try and mix up a bit with the starting 11. We played a different formation. I thought, okay, he's trying something new. He's listened to sort of the feedback from a lot of the fans, but his substitutions need to be better. When we're crying out for someone to solidify the midfield, we need to make sure that we're staying compact. But we concede, and then it's just all downhill from there.
Just on that change, there were some tweets that said, I know people have been crying out for it, but Chris said, I've never seen a team try a new wing back five system at home to one of the only two teams below them in the league, and A, not ever get high enough up the field to put a decent cross in, B, lose every battle with opposition midfield, and C, allow the opposition attack to run behind them. As experiments go, Joe, and it's brave to do it, but it just didn't work.
That's a really fair tweet, actually, because the wing backs yesterday, again, after Madsen, I think Ashby gave the second most passive performance I've ever seen. Him and Powell. I honestly can't tell you anything that they did in the game. They didn't get forward. They didn't help out Fox at left centre back. They didn't help out Dunn at right centre back. It seemed like Dunn and Fox were doing the job of two players. So they've had 2 weeks. Clearly, he made that choice at the start of the international break, and 2 weeks to kind of work on that system, and everything that tweet said is spot on, I think.
There's some more now which I've hesitated going through, because Jawad will know from last year I was a big fan of Marty. From when he came in, his interviews were refreshing. He spoke very honestly and very passionately, but I feel his interviews at the moment just aren't hitting the mark with fans. And here's some tweets that kind of exemplify that. Sorry, Michael, the badge is completely covering your face there. Let me get rid of that so I can see your reaction to it. Steve says the interview he gave after the game was lazy. Why did he play 5 at the back at home to Portsmouth? Why is he persisting with Field and Madsen as a midfield duo? That's what I want to know. Not only have the players not been good enough, Marty hasn't been good enough as well. His decisions have been poor. And then in his language, Michael, he's using this us and the fans. So he's putting this line between it. Ben says, I cannot believe he's always taken the us versus them approach with the fans. Utterly unbelievable. I was ready to back him and give him the space to work through a tough time, but this is a seriously troubling trend in his recent interviews. And I think there was one that kind of said, look, he's kind of blamed the fans in a recent interview as well for being kind of expecting kind of too much. Is this? Oops, sorry, I've got pressed on the wrong button there. Is this all going a bit wrong for you, Michael?
I feel like because he said the fans had like a loser's mentality, but I think it was taken a little bit out of context. I feel like what we do expect as fans on the basis of last season is to get results when you feel like you're down and out. And obviously at the moment, when you do feel down and out in games, with the way we've been playing, we're not getting results, and ultimately we're losing games that we should be winning. But you look at them as us comparison. We sold out our first home game at 3:00, and I feel like we've supported the team as best we can, and ultimately we need to start seeing results, because it's just only going to get worse. We saw it with Neil Critchley, and he managed 10 games before he got the sack. Ainsworth got given 10 games at the start of the season, then got the sack, and currently Marty's record is worse. So I have faith in him, but it's difficult to get behind him when those are the facts. So
I think Steve Cook's interview after the game was the most honest one, I think, out of the two. He completely held his hands up, said it's unacceptable. And I think what the club have to realise, we've won 13 out of 55 home matches, which is a dreadful record, right? There can't be many teams in the Football League that have a worse home record over the last 3 seasons than that. So fans are going there like expecting nothing, and to kind of deliver something less than nothing, which is what they're doing at the moment, takes some doing. Just go there, put a bit of effort in, have a couple of attacks. Look like you're organised, and the fans will get behind them. But there's just a kind of the general apathy towards home matches because it's been so poor for so long.
Okay. With Burnley away the next weekend game, how important does this make the Coventry game on Tuesday night, Michael? This is a must-win against a side who, like you, have been woeful so far this season.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing us at the best time possible, as well. And it's the type of game that is a must-win that we'll lose. And I still feel like we'll go to Burnley and we'll stick it to them. It's just the way we do things. We like to be difficult, but we should be beating them. But I said the same about Portsmouth and Hull, and look where we are. So.
Absolutely. And of course, when Burnley were on their promotion charge 2 years ago, it was you guys, wasn't it, that went up there and shocked the world and pulled off a famous win to help yourselves. We're not going to be sat here next week, Marty, and talking about Marty being sacked, are we? I really hope not.
I don't think it will get to that stage by next Saturday, but if you don't win against Coventry, you're in the next 4 games, you're playing the current top 3. And I know that sometimes QPR have pulled out these freak results, but at the moment, the performances on the pitch, like there's no sign that they're capable of doing that. I think if we get to the next international break and we're in a similar position, if we're in the bottom 2 or 3, then I think they're going to have a big decision to make, because then you're almost a third of the way through the season. And I really hope it doesn't get to that point. But like you say, Marty's interviews, he's looked a little bit spiky, so I'm not quite sure if everything's all right behind the scenes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What do you think? Drop us a comment. Drop us a comment below. It's Halloween week, so the final question we want to ask you this week, so lighten the mood a little bit, is who's the scariest and nastiest player that's ever pulled on a QPR shirt? You know those players where you in the stands you watch them and think, thank goodness they play for us. I'm sure there's been a few over the year that might have left a foot in here or there and picked up the odd red card. But for you, Michael, can you think of anyone that would fit this? Who's the scariest player for QPR, Bill? Nicely.
I mean, when you said nastiest, I thought Joey Barton, because he's like just a nasty bloke. But I suppose in my lifetime, there's not really been many players that have stuck it, like got in there, put a challenge in, but like he's known for being that tough player. But nastiest Joey Barton.
Okay, all right,
Yeah,
good shout, Joward.
I think I agree with Michael. If you're going on nastiness, Joe Barton all day long. The scariest, there was a time in the 90s that we signed Vinnie Jones and Neil Ruddock at the same time. So I think that is quite a scary kind of midfield and defence to come up against. Not that they did much for us, but just on paper, having those 2 in the team, long time ago now.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right. If you can beat that, I mean that's a trio of names, isn't it? That you've trotted out there in terms of scary players. All right. Well, let's hope it doesn't get more scary for QPR this week. Let's hope you can pick up the win against Coventry and maybe even come back with a point from Turf Moor. Play the low block. Scott Parker cannot beat a low block. They are, Marty. That's one for free. Our Burnley fans that were on earlier just saying, how did QPR beat you? Well, just play the low block and then play on the counter. Good luck. Cheers for watching. Drop us a like, drop us a subscribe if you haven't yet done so. We really appreciate you finding this channel. There's loads of QPR content out there, but we love making this 20-minute podcast for you. Download it on Spotify or Apple Music, and we'll see you in a week's time.